Hi and welcome everyone. It's Lavender Sky Panther with you on Monday, May 13th, 2024 for another little card reading today. I felt it was about time to do this again. I am using a new deck in the mix. I will put the names of the decks in the description area below at some point after I upload the video. Anyway, let's get into it. Now, we're not going to do pick a pile this time or pick a group. It's going to be one overall reading. So just listen to it if you wish. And if something jumps out to you or, really stands out, then you know that's your message. And also, I did have the plate before you filled with multicolored, various colored crystals. If you look at the thumbnail for this ahead of this video, you'll see them all in one place. I decided after I was pulling the cards and connecting into, it just felt right to pull the crystals off of the plate and kind of pair them with different cards where appropriate. And you'll see what I mean once I get into the reading. Now the card standing alone there on the plate before you, that's going to come at the very end. We'll flip it over and see if how that applies to the overall reading. Okay, so here we go. We'll start off, well, first of all, next to this little lantern is a girasol quartz type stone. Okay, and now we'll get into the rest. Okay, so now we've got number 27 or number 9, let go and flow. And I like to refer you over to Joann Sacred Scribes Angel Numbers. If you just do an internet search on that, Joann Walmsley out of Australia gives some beautiful meanings of the different numbers, positive aspects of them. So I recommend if you're tracking numbers or numerology, that's a good place to start. So anyway, we've got let go and flow. And we've got this girl, or actually woman, seems like, not just a little girl, just doing a childlike thing and just, swinging up on that swing as high as she can go without falling off, right, over a beautiful grassy meadow, it looks like. It almost looks like that rainbow is kind of protecting her. So even though the sky's, above her, wide open and off to the infinite, it's kind of like she's got a little sheltering or ethereal, kind of protector there. And so she knows she's not going to just slide right off and fall on the ground. She can go ahead and lean into that momentum and just, toss all the cares, the worldly cares off into the wind and just tap into that childlike wonder and just do something that feels really good on the body, like just letting loose and let that hair flow and kind of work against quote unquote gravity. So this little message might be, maybe you can relate to the person in this image as far as, do you have a longing to feel like you're in flight? Or maybe for you, the background is blue, that would translate better to, taking the load off in water, doing something, swimming or just floating. And if your body is not flexible at this point to do some of those things, like even just throwing a blanket down on the earth and earthing and just laying down there with your like spread eagle or like a, Christmas angel, what do they call it, a snow angel, just spread out your arms and your legs on a blanket on the earth. If you're worried about getting back up, that applies to some of us. Maybe even just put a chair outside and, have it grounded in the earth, not in the concrete or pavement. But if you can do it in the earth somehow, and just throw your hands up in the air, like the song goes, the rap song, throw your hands up in the air and wave them like you just don't care, and extend your legs out too. And mainly just to really get the energy flowing around you and through you. And also just physically, literally embodying the spirit of there are no cares in the world. Everything could be falling down around you, like literally or metaphorically. But if you can get into that inner childlike wonder state of being and get into that mindset and go within and just, get into that third eye, go into your mind's eye creation and just imagine yourself wherever you want to be in the entire world. Like instead of actually physically going on a swing or earthing, if you have a little area of land or going to a park, maybe you just close your eyes and imagine the most beautiful setting in the entire world. If you haven't been to one yourself, maybe lean on some of the movies you might have watched. Like just what comes to mind for beautiful scenery is, of course, Lord of the Rings, filmed in New Zealand. Just imagine yourself in any one of those meadows or on the top of one of those mountain peaks, or just imagine a Swiss alpine, setting like the Matterhorn with a grassy meadow in front of it, and just kind of put yourself in there in your mind's eye. you get the idea. But if you have been to a beautiful place, just, even what comes to mind is something like Hawaii with the rainbow there. Just close your eyes and imagine revisiting one of your most favorite places in the world. Maybe it's even just your grandmother's kitchen, or, sitting in front of a fire, just something that, brings that absolute feeling of contentment and letting go of every care in the world. Okay, that's just what I'm getting from there. Now, what I've done with this overall spread is there's actually 3 different decks I used, and 2 of the cards are bigger. So like this, let go and flow card. And then over here, it's going to be this butterfly card, which says transformation, joy, beauty, and transience. Okay, so what I've done is kind of anchored. I'll zoom out and show you the overall spread. I've anchored each side. It's kind of like one side over here and then the other one over here with the bigger card. Now there are some smaller cards which are going to fill down the middle and then splay outward. So the left half is going to belong to this card kind of as clarifiers. And on the right side, these cards, this little L shape, is going to apply as like clarifiers or enhancers to this card. Just how the whole thing wanted to unfold. And then as I was done pulling the cards, it really seemed like one more wanted to be at the top to kind of, further clarify or put a little period or exclamation point. We'll see on the overall reading. Okay, so again, we're kind of going to go, the methodology is going to be on this side, one kind of a reading, and then on this side, the other. And who knows, as if you've watched any of my readings in the past, sometimes I just jump across different sides of the deck if I'm led to do that. Okay, I mean, not the deck, of the spread. All right, so let's get back over to here. So we have our rainbow, and we'll focus on the left side here. So normally I don't like sides, but it's just how this one wanted to come out. So let me keep going by saying, well, when we get to this shadow card, it was in the reverse, and normally I like to just read things straight up, but this one, it seemed to make sense. We've got like this whole galaxy residing in the chest and the heart space of this gorgeous black panther with green eyes. Looks like the moon is behind it. And so anyway, what I want to say is I'm keeping it in the reverse because there's going to be a movement actually that's going to run and jump across not only card to card here, but across the whole row at the top. So actually let me show you what I'm thinking. So here we've got the rainbow, and if we follow the arc and the movement, we've got this kind of coming and bowing down into the heart space of the infinite galaxy of this panther. And then it comes across, the back of this frog, and it goes up and out the wings and back out into the infinite of the butterfly, the infinite, of the way the wings, even the top shape is like a V for victory, and like, just going out infinitely, the trajectory, the vector is just like flying off, into the cosmos. That's how I see it. So anyway, I just kind of like that movement, the way it comes down, hops across, and flies up out of here. So it's kind of got a certain movement and tempo to it. But coming back over here, that's why it seems lively. So I wouldn't want to have the rainbow, if we flip this back around, would just kind of bury into and stay very introspective into this cat, into the cosmos, so the cosmic cat here. Instead, it really does kind of suggest that, hey, we're not talking about the shadow this time. The shadow has been dealt with, and so now we're just talking about the energy of the infinite cosmos. And even to the fact, and looking at the world with a different perspective, both cards. Because here, this girl is looking up and out, and isn't looking down into the ground, isn't introspective at all. And neither is this cat in the looking up position, you see. So both of them are looking up and out. And so the time of introspection and healing and working with the shadow time is over, at least for right now. If you really think about it, we could work on ourselves and heal, and child wounds, childhood traumas, recent adult traumas. We could spend an entire lifetime and beyond trying to heal through that or stabilize that. So I think, again, with how I was looking at this, is kind of like a wave, kind of goes down and then up again. That all of that inner work can happen in waves. It's not kind of like we just do it all and then we're healed and it's a one and done. It just kind of nature doesn't flow that way. So it's kind of like we visit that shadow area, try to heal what we can. Things will bubble up without our even expecting it. And it's like, oh man, I thought I dealt with that. Things might come back up again, but it's okay. We just dip in, do what we can to heal a little bit more, and then, move on and then, we may come back to it, right? So that's why I just want to keep the, the shadow in reverse, because I really think for now you've dealt with what you can deal with, and now just swing and play, bring fun into your life, change up the energies, get out of the shadowlands. We can, there's a movie about that called that. Actually, it's a very intense movie. If you need to just cry stuff out, that's a good one to watch. But anyway, maybe that's part of the healing, maybe, as like a punctuation to this rainbow. Maybe watch a sad movie, cry it out, get the remaining vestiges of what you're healing through out of your body physically. Purge it out with tears, purge it out, ideally with tears. It's in a gentler way. But get it out of your body. Let it flow, back to this let go and flow. Maybe that's part of it. And when you think of tears, I can't think of it, can't have a rainbow without moisture, without drops. If it's raindrops or teardrops, maybe your teardrops will usher in a happier time, okay, if you can let it go physically out of your body. All right, some of the stones here, I'm just going to name them all because I'll probably forget when I get to each card, is we've got African bloodstone over here. I paired that with the shadow card because it's kind of like we've got darkness, but there's light within it. Same here, in this cat card, I'll call it. We've got darkness, but we've also got the stars. We've got luminosity. We're, seeing in the dark. I've referred to it way back in the past, but there's a book from the 1920s called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. And I'm going to paraphrase, and it's probably not even going to be that close, but the point of it is she was a metaphysical teacher, and in it, one of her students says something like, well, gosh, I'm just in the darkness. How am I ever going to get out of it? I just feel like I'm in here forever. And she said something like, well, and they're like, what do I do? How do I get out of this darkness? And then she said, well, you're going to get really good at seeing in the dark, and that is a skill. I mean, look at the any of the nighttime predator animals or any other kind of animals that, thrive and survive at nighttime. They got really keen night vision, right? And that just becomes another asset for you, another tool in your spiritual, another toolkit to be able to see in the dark times, to see your way through. And think about it, once you endure and get through all of this and grow through all of this, you're there to help others. If they're in that same kind of darkness or the abyss, you can tell them, hey, you know what, you're just developing your skill. You feel like you're dying in there. No, you're not. You're growing. You feel you're at a stalemate. No, you're learning how to see in the dark. If you think about it, the only way you can start to get really good at seeing in the dark is being exposed to darkness. If you just go outside and you try to look up at the night sky after being in a bright, bright room, it takes a while for the eyes to adjust to really see in deeper into the darkness, right? So anyway, my whole point is that this isn't a dark, card. Excuse me, even though it says shadow. The message in here is bringing light into that shadow, okay? And whether it's by releasing or getting really good at seeing in the dark and helping others and turning that experience into something very positive, right? Okay, so back to it. I know I jump all over the place, but the other stones here are green agate over here. I think it came from Brazil or Mexico. Sorry, I can't remember which one. They told me. Down here is, in the right-hand corner, if I can get my finger in the picture, is selenite down here. And this is either orange, I believe it's orange calcite, maybe it's carnelian. And then lower left is amethyst, okay? So those are just the ones surrounding. And of course, I brought this one talking about the shadow and the light, the African bloodstone. And then over here, the green agate is going to apply to this right half of the reading, okay? So now let's go down. So like I said, I think I'll pan out here a little bit, zoom out, and we'll talk about, this is the overall one side of this reading. All right, so we talked about this movement and coming into the shadow. Now, with the shadow time in this area, introspective time is over, looking out, into the infinite cosmos comes wisdom. Wisdom's coming, from the inner connection. Wisdom's coming from, well, again, we've got another message of seeing in the dark with the owl. So we've got, the power of looking within and connecting in to get some of these wisdoms, but also, literally seeing out in what's around you and acquiring some of this knowledge. So it's a culmination of all of the wisdoms that you possess that becomes your strength, and that's on the backside of walking through some of this healing. It's kind of a cumulative effect, this rainbow's coming now down. If we look at, like, before we had the wave above, now we're kind of arcing down and bringing the energies through this way. So we're going to follow the reading around this way. So anyway, going through some of this, you've had, your time to be completely free, tap into the childlike wonder, to bring in some all-encompassing energies, that come in from the divine. You've had your time to heal and look at some things, introspective for a bit, and now it's time to keep looking outward and outward down here with the owl. Now, of course, I put this carnelian or orange calcite paired with this card because that reminds me of that. Looks like a faceted, polished version of this, tumbled version. And again, this owl is looking outward, not introspective. It already has the wisdom that it needs for right now. And going through your journey of what you've already, gone through and where you're headed, it's kind of like you really do possess already a vast, how do I want to say it? A vast amount of knowledge that just seems to sit right and be contented within you of where you're at right now. Now, within all of that knowledge, there's so many facets of that knowledge that we all possess. And it's like you've got that as like a nice little library or storage bank to draw off of in your life, okay? And again, Owl 2 talks about education kind of wisdom. Maybe you're going to apply this just in your day-to-day by being you and going about your business. You're dispersing these wisdoms, all these different facets all around you, probably without even realizing it. And you probably don't even know whose lives you're touching and who you're helping. So remember that. You may think you're just this kind of person, or you're going to your work, or maybe you're going to a job, you're not thrilled with it right now, and you're in that setting and you're like, why the heck am I here? I feel burnt out. This isn't even me. Just know that until you're out of there, you still are doing quite a role in there. You might underestimate the amount of energy you bring to a room just by walking in it, and that alone may be your purpose for being there. That's just coming through for some people who might need that. All right, then we'll look over, as I said, the motion seems to want to go this way. We're going to go look at abundance. And what's fun about this card is, usually when we talk about the rainbow, there's the old adage or whatever you want to call it, about the pot being, pot of gold being at the end of it, and a leprechaun and all of that, bringing luck. Here I feel like, you've gone through life. And just remember, you are lucky. There is a star above you, a lucky star above you, if you will let that energy in, right? And then again, another physical exercise, just to throw your arms up in the air, might help you literally bring this energy in. Like over here, the butterfly wings forming the V. I talk about that sometimes too. I literally did this when I was frustrated in a job, feeling burnt out. I'd go off into the restroom on a break and go in the stall, close the door, and just throw my hands up in the air in the V victory pose and try to bring in every bit of, great energy, kind of reboot myself up and try to get that God spark growing and tap into some bigger, higher, power energy, sometimes just to get through the day. So it kind of reminds me of that. If you sometimes just throw your hands up in the air, you literally can bring the stars down to you and, kind of combine them with your heart space and that God spark and try to grow it. Again, using your imagination, using your mind's eye, that third eye, whatever you tap into, to really visualize and envision something like that, right? And that can bring into, a healthier way of life and abundance. Just remembering you have that tool in your spiritual toolkit to do that. The imagination is really everything sometimes. All right, then it leads us over to home. And for this one, it's showing a birdhouse hanging from a tree. And actually, let me zoom in here a little bit. I don't see a bird. I'm just trying to see if I even see a little face or anything. So in this case, we still got the golden energy, and we're bringing in the warm tones of the reds and the oranges. It's a very inspiring, color. We have some cooler colors on the left, implying like a winter, but we're really focusing on the golden sun of it, the golden energy of it. And what I want to just say here is that you don't have to physically be home to feel home, to feel at home. It's just wherever you are, home is. And if you're not here, wherever you are, that is where home is. So, and the thing is, that's kind of funny about this, it's almost like this box is too little for you. When we're talking about expanding our arms out and going off into the infinity of things, the last thing that kind of feels right is to come into a little box and like hunker down in it, right? It seems more like we want to be roaming the fields and going off into the galaxies. This is just a reminder of we're not defined, by any little boxes. And whatever your idea of home may be, this looks like, even though it might be cozy and protective, there was a time for that. But now it's almost like a time to dream bigger. Again, we've got this arc, but it's not containing her. It's just kind of like a companion to her. Still the if you follow the strands or the ropes, it's going off into infinity. So it's kind of like, hey, we've gone through so much and learned so much and acquired all these wisdoms. We will not be contained. Our soul and our spirit is infinite and goes on forever. It's lucky, it's blessed, it's abundant, and then, but when we need a little space and a little time to retreat, okay, but that's if we choose to be confined in that way. Otherwise, just step right out of that little house and the world, there is no limit, right? All right, well, that's all I'm getting. Hope something in there meant something to somebody. That's for that side of the reading if you only want to join in for the beginning. Now let's go to the other side if you want to stick around. And in this case, we have a Caribbean calcite, a tiger's eye, and then we've got what I already mentioned, selenite, and a green agate. So in this case, when again we look at the butterfly card, we'll zoom in. We've got the beautiful colors here of the blue and the contrasting gold and leaves of the tree, beyond the black of the butterflies, and we have transformation, joy, beauty, and transience. And even though we have some dark colors in there, it's interesting because if you really look in this card, we've got some wisps and motions of wind and circulation and liveliness. And even though they're black, which could be construed as like a dark or heavy color, it's lightness. It really is. So they are talking about transformation, joy, beauty, and transience. And there is a beauty even in the transience. So what is time? Begs the question, like I've probably said before, and you already know this, but one moment can seem like an eternity if it's a beautiful, blissful moment, and it's kind of that frozen in time quality where you never want it to end, and there's a timelessness in that beauty in that moment. Or, one moment can feel like an eternity. On the flip side, if it's a bad experience, it can be like, oh my God, this is forever. When am I going to get out of it, right? So how are you viewing things? Are you viewing things like this bigger, well, it's in the, closer to us in view probably, but we'll just say this bigger butterfly. It's more like the omniscient observer. We can zoom out of here. Like if we're in this tree, in our mind's eye, we can zoom out and look at things from a bigger picture standpoint. This reminds me of, being on the game board. Are you going to be on the game board, in it, playing, believing you have to play on that game board that somebody else created with rules you didn't do? Or are you going to zoom off that game board, not play in that, and say, no, this is my domain out here. I'm going to look down on it and see what's really going on from a fresh and neutral perspective, right? Not a biased perspective, being in and among this maybe chaos. So anyway, I forgot where I was going with this, but the point is that there is a freedom. When you have wings, you can really fly. And are you going to use your wings to fly? Or are you going to use your wings to kind of stay, amongst the leaves and kind of fluttering around in there? Or are you going to, go back and forth between the two? And maybe there is a time to be on the game board, to have compassion for others. But maybe there's a time to fly out where your wings are outspread and you're mature. These maybe are like younger butterflies. If there's such a thing, maybe they're fresh out of the cocoon. This one looks more seasoned and can really ride those thermals, ride those winds of life with ease because it's been around the block, so to speak. Seeing things from a broader perspective. So I guess my point is maybe it's time to open your wings. Don't forget that you have them and really fly and look at things from the bigger picture. Don't let yourself get, mired down into the day-to-day. The typical 3D things that can stymie us all with bills and all of that. Let yourself daydream and zoom out more often than not, and remember there is a bigger picture. Okay. Actually, this Caribbean calcite kind of goes with the card, not only because some of the color picking up, but it also reminds me with the way some things swirl around, like whether that's water or air. Just let ideas and things too swirl around. Maybe you're thinking about some things. Maybe don't narrow down to one. Maybe throw a few things out there and let them swirl around in your mind's eye or in your mind a bit. Maybe sleep on it. Give yourself 24 hours, to think of things as you are, trying to craft something or develop something. Okay. All right. So we're going to look over now. We'll move over to this rebirth card. And now this frog looks like it's sitting comfortably on a little lily pad. And maybe it's not going to spring up or jump anywhere. It looks kind of comfortable where it's at. But this flower, though, seems to be swirling in the air. I don't know if it's like a type of lily. It looks a little bit like a cross between a lily and a hibiscus. I'm not sure what kind it is. But right away, as we see, the green and the pink absolutely correspond with the heart space, the chakra, the heart chakra, upper heart and like lower heart. Not in terms of vibration, but they're all right there. One's above the other, the green and the pink. And we have rebirth, and both of these cards actually kind of go together because you got the birth of the butterflies, and they're very short-lived. Butterflies are very short-lived. Once they hatch, I forget how many hours they have to live. You might want to look that up. But the point is that there's a continual rebirth, and the cycle of life. Once something passes, something else comes and is birthed, right? So nothing truly dies. It's just the main message coming through. And when you live in the heart space, you know that when you really connect in with spirit, the source, the creator of life, the spark, the all there is, it can never die. It just continues to live and rebirth and recreate in new ways, and all about infinite creation. So for whatever case in this reading, like, the other side wanted to come around like a backward C as far as reading the cards. This one, we're going to come around and read it in this direction, okay? So I'm going to go back. We've got transformation, joy, beauty, and transience. And then we also have the rebirth of things. And then we're going to look down here at news and confidence and cleanse. So with news, we've got this lightness of the feather, and again, blue harkening back to the lightness of the butterfly. Here we have wings, and here we have the very foundation of what makes up other kinds of wings and birds, right? And we have this lightness of this flower floating above too. So I'm feeling very much about this energy for you. It's just tapping into a lightness. On this side, we had a lightness of literally taking a load off, putting your feet and hands up in the air, letting your hair flow, whether it's in water or in the air. And here it's just like, on this side, it's more like just embody lightness in everything you do, maybe even, just for fun, tiptoe around the house. Imagine yourself lighter and lighter. What comes to mind is a family member of mine once sat next to Jesse Owens, the famous runner, from the 30s. And he asked him, what was it like with your running? And I guess he asked maybe what was your secret for running so fast? And I think he said something, and again, I'm probably paraphrasing, but he said something like, I never let my feet, as I'm running, I just imagine my feet are never touching the ground. So for whatever reason, I haven't even thought of that example for a very long time. But it's something good, right? If in our mind is so powerful and is such a creation tool that, if you just thought about it, like say you walked around, you don't have to be the fastest runner in a day, but just imagine if we all walked around life one day, just decided, okay, I'm just going to imagine that as I walk, my feet are never touching the ground. Just think about how your whole physiology would change, even to your cellular level, how they would respond to just that thought, right? It's an interesting example coming up, but maybe you actually want to follow that literally one day just to try it, or at least for a few minutes. When you look at little children, when they're tiptoeing on their feet, you'll see a lot of younger generations these days, they do that when they're little, and you're like, why are they doing that? What's going on? And I believe that they're still tapped in and so connected to where they came from, source, that they remember the lightness. They remember that's really, we have the capability to fly over this earth if we want to, literally. We've just forgotten how and have been trained and told we can't. And maybe the DNA has been manipulated, to block it a bit. But I believe we actually might come into a time where we actually can get into literally flying or levitating, whatever we want. Kind of like the Jesus example, right? He's showing walking on water. I believe that we really do possess that power, and the kids are very aware of it because they have not yet been conditioned to detach from their total, pure divine being. But anyway, that's all about the feather and where we could go with it. Now we've got, news, and actually these could be laurels, the way this one's shaped over here, kind of like the laurel leaf symbolizing victory. Looks like a victorious and glorious news, right? We've got the heart there, of course. It's got to be good news. Now, is it romantic news of romantic love coming in? Maybe. Does it matter? No. I mean, it would be nice if you're looking for that. If you're not looking for that, then it's just good news, loving news, kind-hearted news, maybe even just a nice surprise coming your way. And it could even be not from a person, but just a little love note, literally from nature. Maybe if you go spend time out in nature, whether a park or if you have a little area of any kind of natural land, or that you walk through it to and from going somewhere. Or if you don't, maybe it's just also a message if you use a car or some other means that propels you faster through life, get out and walk or just sit out in nature and let, nature surprise you with some little kindness. And that can come in any number of forms, right? So now, but again, the lightness is what strikes me. Even the letter and the foliage is just kind of like floating in air. So it's going to be a very lighthearted, loving message, and be open to receive that. Throw your arms out like this person, or throw your wings out, and make that V in a perfect position, physical position, ready to receive from either the cosmos or from nature, and pulling it right down into your heart space. When you make that V, everything comes back down to your heart space, and bring it right in. All right, now we have this beautiful cheetah sitting here saying, and it says confidence. So it looks like the cheetah is standing on a wooden stump, got a beautiful golden sun behind, and a wooden ladder. It looks like, somebody crafted that ladder, maybe even out of that wood. So I know we say, save the trees and don't harm trees. But there is a time when something constructive and positive is created, and if you honor and bless that tree, and even maybe ask its permission before you cut it down to take the wood, that's a very different way of walking through this world, or floating through it, if you will. So in this case, though, besides that, we've got the confidence of this cheetah. The cheetah is confident. It's almost like it has replaced, the top of this tree. Just we follow up through the arms are strong, and the cheetah is kind of embodying and encapsulating the strength and power of that tree, which is going down. The roots are really anchored strong into the earth, presumably, because it's straight up and down. It's not lying down on its side. Even the position of the ladder is confident. The ladder itself is confident. It's in an upright position and heading presumably from, ground, or if it's floating in the sky, on upward, right? It's not, we're not getting the impression that someone would be coming down, because even the visual display it's wider at the base and tapering off, almost, like our eyes taking it up into the heavens. So this cheetah is, though, what do we know about a cheetah? This is actually kind of funny, right? Because usually we think of a cheetah as, and I believe it's a cheetah. Do I have that right? The face is of a cheetah. But the thing is that, normally we see a cheetah running, right? Not just sitting here in repose. And so it's like, it doesn't even need to run to prove anything. It just is confident in of itself. It doesn't need to say to you, if it would talk in words, hey, I run fast. It just owns it, right? So maybe it's a message to just to, own your own power. You don't have to get, kudos and rewards and accolades for what you do. Just take honor in knowing that you've got all your skills, and that you don't need it to come from any outside source to praise you. I mean, that cheetah just knows who and what it is, and knows it's just amazing. And that's a message for you too. Just to remember, you are amazing in and of yourself. Whether you think you have any talents or anything quote unquote special, no, you don't need it. Just showing up, you've got the spark of life, dang it, in your heart space. That's all you need. That's all powerful. There's nothing that can top that. So maybe it's just a message to don't let the outside illusory world convince you that you need to be anything than who and what you are, and just own it and love it and love yourself. That confidence can be also translated to self-love, absolute self-love. And if you're not going to absolutely love yourself, then what can you expect for somebody else to love you? Yes, they can, maybe out of compassion or whatever, but come on, man. There's an I in confidence. Own that I. I am confident. And even if you just need to literally say that, I am confident. And even if you're not feeling it, just make that as a nice goal. The ladder, you climb up step by step. If you're not there yet, start at the bottom. Start doing something nice for yourself if you're not already. Get rid of that negative self-talk if it's telling you you're anything but glorious, okay? Inside and out. And at the cellular level, you are. Okay, now this Confident Cheetah here is looking off to cleanse, and we've got still some of these beautiful golden yellow colors and energies. We've got blue in the background, kind of like up here too. We got the golden, and the blue. And now the cheetah's looking over here, so we'll look at cleanse and kind of take it seriously. You know what? Again, just like with this ladder, just take it step by step. For some people, just start introducing not even a full glass, but a half a glass of water into your day, good clean water. If you're not into just drinking water, I know it's difficult for me. I like to drink other things like coffees and things that have water in it, but of course it's better just to drink straight up pure water if I can, more often than not. But then, one baby step is okay. Don't overdo it. Maybe you can't drink a gallon right off the bat. Just start with a half a cup. And then as you go up the ladder as a part of cleansing, maybe add, if it's good for your body, add a little lemon in that cup. And then a lot of people drink or swear by drinking warm lemon water in the morning, warm water with a little bit of lemon squeezed in. Then maybe you try that, or you don't want lemon, maybe try something else. I don't know, lime, I don't know. Do what feels right for your body. Or some kind of fresh fruit, squeeze a little. Infused water is really nice. You can put a little blueberries and mint leaves, or you can put like watermelon or pineapple, a little bit of orange slice or something, and some water. And if you have a refrigerator, put it in there to chill overnight, and then have a little in the morning if that can entice you to start just drinking regular water, right? It's a nice way to bring that in there. So cleanse, doesn't necessarily have to be a pure cleanse of the body, but if you introduce some more natural things into it, that's a natural way to start cleansing the body, and at least put the intention to clean and cleanse the body, right? If not a straight up cleanse, and if you go into any kind of cleansing or, fasting or juicing, green juicing, or whatever you're going to do, just make sure you follow what feels good for your body, right? And don't, go against that. Okay, I think, let's zoom back out and see if there's anything else that wants to come through for the overall now. I kind of like by chance, it really was, that the selenite's in the middle. It's just so pure. So it's kind of like reminding me, if we just look at all the crystals now, we've got as many variations and things in life are going around. We've got all different colors and flavors of things happening in life, but the core of it is you and your God spark and your purity. And no matter what has gone on in your life, maybe there's been some darker moments, maybe there's things that you have a hard time letting go. If you have any guilt or shame, get rid of those energies. Remember, you are that God spark. We're here to experience things in this world, both, quote, good and bad. And just remember that at the heart of everything, you are pure. Nothing can change that. So just don't repeat some of the darker things. Of course, we're supposed to learn from things. And just know, keep your eye on the prize, which is, just know that if you focus on the lightness of things and the beauty of things and the ever expansion of things, everything will come aright no matter what's going on in your life. And just focus into the now moment and just seek, the highest and best version of yourself, right? All right, so now let's look at the overall card, maybe overall card. We'll see what kind of card it is. Let's just flip the card, I should say. Give me 1 second. Give me a second here. Okay, and look at that. That's beautiful, actually. Okay, so this is a beautiful peacock. It looks like sitting on the world with some roses, and we've got self-expression. And what I like about this is the peacock with all of the eyes